Happy Hump Day. Appreciate you joining us tonight. If you were on the live, if you're watching afterwards, we appreciate that as well. It's good to be back. It's been about a good month for me since I've had a show. So it's nice to see everyone and have some discussion. Honestly, we just haven't had too much to discuss. Been working on the website, had some personal stuff going. So it is what it is. We're definitely going to try to have a weekly podcast throughout the season. I mean, we'll see what happens. You'll know day or two prior of the scheduling if it does happen. Regardless, thank you for joining. And yeah. So tonight we're going to have a few contributors and special guests come and talk about the games, week 1 games. We'll discuss week 2 games a little bit as well. But before I want to get into all that, I want to say a shout out for AFN. We've been working pretty hard on AFN to try to get some news out and some serious, like real news. So I want to show you guys the website if you haven't checked it out yet. Do me a favor, check it out. Start following along. There are some ads, as you see, but we got to pay for stuff somehow. Try not to make it get in your way. But we got some solid writers, solid social contributors, people doing stuff all the way from social media to, like I said, writing. Pretty impressed with what we have going so far. The presentation's awesome, looking pretty clean. So, yeah, guys, check this out. We're very proud of this. Thank you to all the contributors, whether you're a social contributor, a partner, a writer, whatever. It's really coming together. So thank you. Shout out to Drew Wells as well. He's the editor-in-chief for the writers, and he's really been putting things together, and we needed that leadership. So appreciate you, Drew. Everything's looking great in terms of writings, and we should have some articles out as we come. So check that out. A few of the people in here tonight, you'll see they'll have some articles coming out throughout the season. They already have some available. They also have shows, content, whatever. Most of you guys in this space know these people, so I'm confident in that. So do me a favor, check out the AFN site. It's alternativefootballnetwork.com. Super simple. Yeah, we're going to do what we can. If you want to see something specific, you have something you want to know about, shoot me a message. We'll do what we can to try to get you more content that you want to see. We got 5 new writers that came on board. We had a couple leave us, but we had 5 new that came on board. Super good writers, very well written, as I can say. Shout out to RJ Reed. He's one of the surviving members from last year that's been writing for us. He's a big San Antonio guy, whether it's the IFL, the UFL, whatever. He's representing San Antonio. So shout out to RJ as well. Appreciate you, RJ. But in other words, let's get on to week 2. I'm going to check the comments. What's up? Happy week 2, everyone. What's up, Rick 8-Bit? He's also a contributor. Appreciate Rick. Great guy. Great content. He does Tecmo games for the league and other leagues as well. Check him out. Mike T. Bell. What's up, T. Bell? Happy week 2. Happy week 2 to you, my friend. Appreciate that, T. Bell. We're definitely trying to work on it. All right, so let's jump off into some games. Week 1 wasn't too exciting. Personally, I felt like there was maybe 2 good games. But we kind of saw some identities of the team, and we saw some teams firing on all cylinders, and I really like that. So let's go ahead and get off into it. I'm going to bring Cory in. Cory is one of our new writers with AFN. How's it going, Cory?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you covering the Houston Roughnecks too. With the years it looks like we're going to have so far. You got your work cut out for you. So
yeah, they do as well. So
yes, sir. I agree with that 100%. I was a big Roughnecks guy for years. Now I've kind of pulled out of the fandom, but it's good to see someone like you covering it who's objective. So week 1 coming in, we had some expectations for the Roughnecks. Can you kind of give me a summary of the game from your eyes, how you saw the game Friday?
I saw it just like everybody else seen it. It was a very one-sided game. Battlehawks firing on all cylinders and Houston just taking blows left and right.
Yep.
There wasn't really a whole lot going on for Houston until that very end. And I don't know if that was just defense getting tired from St. Louis or them finally clicking and finding that end zone.
Yeah, I mean, do you think coming in, is there a chance for these Roughnecks to turn this around?
I sure hope so. I mean, they do have a good roster. They have weapons, but the Battlehawks, I've said for the last couple of years that they will be the team to beat this year because they're looking to finally get over that hump and show everybody that they are a dominant spring football team. But it was just a very tough task for Houston.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, the Houston made St. Louis look really good, and honestly, I wasn't sure if St. Louis is really good or if they just gave them that tool to succeed Friday. Let's see. My thing was this was like the best game St. Louis has ever had. That new single game UFL record with 273 rushing yards. That did get broken, I believe, later by another team, but they went off. Jarvion Howard, 115 yards on 13 carries, 74-yard scoring run. The Battlehawks actually got the player of the week for their offensive line. The team registered 31 first downs en route to setting new franchise records with 460 total offensive yards and 273 rushing yards. So that was a big day, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
STL had 0 punts or turnovers across the 9 total drives. Houston had some spots of brightness, in my opinion. Nolan Henderson looked pretty good and gave that team a spark. They had one TD to Justin Hall there at the end of the game, and it's good to see that they can put something together on offense.
Yeah, and I think that should be the point of emphasis on this offense. I mean, they showed it last year too. They were the connection to look at, and them coming back. I mean, they're the vets on this team. So, and credit to St. Louis's defense for causing all that chaos in the backfield. But if they can pull it together, that connection could be dominant. And they have TJ Vasher, who was great for the Brahmas last year. That could be another hidden gem for them.
For sure. I'm curious to see what happens here. You know, a lot of people noticed the unorganization of the sidelines. It seemed like it's almost people didn't know what was going on at certain points. Do you feel like that's accurate?
They didn't know if there was a football game going on. I agree.
Yeah. It seems a little dicey at times. And then you had a point where the assistant coach come up and was coaching up the head coach, CJ Johnson, as well.
Yeah, and I kind of understand that. You know, you're down big. You're going into halftime, and you only have 48 total yards of offense. Something has to change. And they coming back out, CJ Johnson said, you know, it's going to change. You know, we need to put the pedal to the metal. Essentially, we need to get going, and that didn't happen much at all.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you, from covering them personally, this is almost the same speech that we've heard time and time again from that way.
I think that's just kind of a default speech. You know, you can see it from the sidelines how bad everybody's playing. You know, everybody's going to ask about it. So just give them what they want to hear and move on.
Yeah. Makes sense. I know there's some very unhappy Houston fans right now, though.
Yeah, I'm an outsider's perspective, and
yes, sir.
I feel bad for them, but you know, sometimes you have to hear the bad to get to the good, you know.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about the tickets sold. Now, I say tickets sold. A lot of people say attendance. To me, there was not 7,000 people at that game. If there was, they were very small, hiding in the back. The tickets sold, it's still a good amount, and if they're making that much money, that's fine as well. The decent showing for Houston, honestly. It's not great. We don't want the 7,000, but compared to, I think, other games I've seen in the past, it's better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been around like what it typically is for spring football. I know St. Louis dominates in that area, which is fantastic. But 7, 10, 11 is kind of that range. So it's kind of expected.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you, man, back from like the 2020 era, or even the 2023 era, that attendance at those games has dropped severely. It's a whole different place than what it was. Even in 2023, every game I attended that year, it wasn't full, but it was pretty packed, noticeably.
Yeah, and
Now,
it makes you kind of wonder if that's just because it's spring football. Everybody loves the NFL. They're so critical of another football league, or if that's just Houston just in their poor win percentage and how good they've been doing. It's kind of tough to say.
agreed. There's a lot of things that have happened with that team, and whether it's the gamblers install, the Coach Wade going to San Antonio. There's a lot of things you could say there, but I know one thing: if they can pull out some wins or at least some fights to lose, then those fans will show up and support.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
What did you think about the TV rating? Now the average number was 690,000. It's a pretty big drop from last year in terms of the first week, but it was a Friday night game, and there were also many events going on that were intersecting with this, like in Houston, in fact, as well.
Yeah, I kind of said the same thing when I saw it. I think last year opening day was like 1.1 or 1.2 million. Again, I mean, it's a Friday night. Everybody's working. It's at a time you're literally just getting off work to catch the game. It's kind of tough to do. I was shocked that Fox is trying to push this basically Friday night football thing. It's in competing with something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're setting yourself up for some failure. I think from Mike Mitchell's article, I'll put the link in the show notes, everybody. He said NCAA's March Madness Sweet 16 averaged over 7 million viewers on CBS and nearly 3 million on TBS. So that's just one event. There's multiple he listed that drew quite a bit of numbers. We'll see how it picks up. I think this is kind of expected for the Friday night window, though.
Yeah, I agree, and I hope it does. But as soon as the camera pans, that's the first thing I look at is how many people are there. I want to see those stadiums filled, and then as soon as I can, I get the TV ratings and kind of figure out what my stance on those is as well. But I'm always looking for high numbers.
Let me ask you this. And this is my last question I got for you. After this, we'll see if any fans have questions. What do you feel like some keys for Houston's success will be coming into week 2?
They have to work on that O-line. I know they have work everywhere else, but I think it starts with the O-line. If they can even partially block for the quarterbacks that they have, they can at least get the ball moving. That's their biggest thing. They got to get it moving. If they're running around all day, every day, they're not going anywhere. And another thing was penalties. I saw positive plays get brought back on offensive holdings and not lining up correctly. It's just stupid mistakes like that are momentum killers.
Agreed.
But it starts there.
Yeah, the little things is what I was always preached.
Yeah.
Any other comments or things you want to say regarding the Roughnecks?
Again, they have a lot to work on. They can work on everything. It's not going to be fixed overnight. The biggest thing is you have not the biggest thing, but I think the hidden gem I mentioned in TJ Vasher, he was a sub last week. If you can get him starting, he is such an incredible playmaker that I do think that they have a chance to do something with. But again, if you can't stay in the pocket and get the ball to him, there's really no point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see if we got any questions from the fans. Guys, you got any questions for Cory before he rolls out? Let's see about this one. This one's from Viking Wax Press. I wonder how Friday nights will do when they expand out west. Better? Worse? We'll talk about expansion at the end. I don't want to get into that right now, but definitely there was some talks to that. We saw that in a recent article.
Yeah, I've heard the talks, the conversation starters of which team should they bring or add, but they have to perfect what they have now in order to expand.
Totally agree. That's like me starting a live TV show instead of doing the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not ready for that. We'll stick to the amateur hour. Well, Cory, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure. Where can people find you? Where do you want them to look for you at? I know you'll have articles out. You just put out one a couple of days ago. So anywhere like socially you want people to look for you?
I mean, it's just the typical Facebook, X now, and it's just my name, so nothing crazy.
Sounds good, dude. Appreciate you, Cory. Until next time, my friend, we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, it was a pleasure being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So nice chatting with Cory. Next up, I got a special guest, Mr. SAJ in the house. How you doing, sir?
We're live. What's going on?
We are live. We are live.
That's awesome, man. Good job going live with the show.
Hey, we're back, man.
I know. I love it. Yeah, SAJ is kind of in a transition period between finishing up licking his wounds from Saturday's showing and getting ready to roast some battle chickens. So I'm kind of in this analytical state right now, right? The excitement of the game hasn't quite kicked in yet, and I haven't quite gotten over the loss. So I'm just kind of in that mode where I'm like, man, if we do this, or if we don't do that, or we're toast. So yeah, weird place.
You got some time to pick it up. That's a good thing. Week one, it is week one. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that would be important for us to talk about it because I'm sure you've been watching. I'm sure you've seen some of the San Antonio fans that are already, starting to grumble and bemoan, us picking up Mond and everything like that. I think it's important for us to first highlight the fact that Mond hasn't played a professional game in like 3 years. There's nothing like playing an actual professional game, not even your spring training, right? We know that all of our professional NFL athletes go into, training camp having worked out, having done all these other things and whatever, but they're still not game shape ready. That's what the preseason is for, is to get you to that point where you can essentially be game shape ready to then start playing. So if you haven't done that in 3 years, how are you going to be expected to do it in 3 weeks and hit the field and do anything? Right?
Yep.
Mond didn't have an absolutely horrible game. He didn't have a great game though. He went 17 to 31, 159 yards, right? No touchdowns, no interceptions. But he did have a lot of passes that were over and underthrown. And you could see that in just kind of his mechanics. He's already been kind of accused of being a very stiff quarterback, if you will. His mechanics have come into question before. It's one of the reasons why I think Minnesota decided, supposedly anyways, not to stick with him. But it doesn't mean he's not a talented quarterback. And it doesn't mean he's not going to find his groove. He's just got to get that chemistry with the rest of the team, who, at least half of the team came back from last year, right? So that, in conjunction with our defense actually being defense, right? We saw that they had a really hard time stopping the run. We did okay in coverage. We didn't do great in coverage. We definitely didn't get our heads torn off. But there were a lot of plays to Canella, who is, the Mariachi Brahmas' favorite player, just because he harasses him so much. I mean, the guy screams his name literally every second of the game, even during halftime.
That's motivation for him, probably. You know that, right?
at this point, I think it is, because Canella had a pretty decent game, right? 5 catches for 45 yards, longest was 25, one of which was a touchdown score right in front of us. And I'm 100% certain he looked up at the Mariachi Brahma and just smiled. Didn't taunt, didn't do anything, just looked up and smiled. I can't confirm that. But I know there was probably a little bit of, here's some of your own medicine back at you, So anyways, again, not a horrible game. I mean, even our rushing, all things considered, we had some struggles with the offensive line, being able to open up the holes. We kept running the same run scheme over and over, expecting different results. It's kind of like the definition of insanity, right? Mm-hmm. If we can figure that out and do some of those, misdirects and, off reads and stuff, I think that's going to open things up a little bit better for us. because we've got a solid running back core, right? Corbin obviously was pretty good. We know McFarland is good from last year, and we know Lovett is an absolute bruiser, right?
Yep.
So you put him into the short yardage situations and just let him crush. So is it time for the fire sale? Absolutely not, right? I'm hoping that we went into Arlington, maybe thinking we were a little bit better than what we were, and got absolutely trounced. And this was, the punch in the mouth, so to speak, to reinvigorate the team and let them know, hey guys, every game matters, and you can't take a single opponent for granted because everybody's gotten better, right? We've got 8 teams picking from a pool of all the talent that we had last year who are now available to be picked up by any team. And then we've got a fresh batch of talent coming in as well. So you're going to get the best of the best. So you've got to be prepared for war. But I'm hoping that this is that reminder that you guys need to come here and work, or you're not going to you're not going to advance here. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was not a fun game. It was not a fun game losing that I-35 rivalry and having to turn over the commemorative hat from the I-35 rivalry to the Arlington Renegades fans. But I will say, as far as fan bases go, and you've heard me say it before on all the different shows, Horns Forward Podcast, Texans Talking Football, just about anywhere I can mention it at. If this is what a professional rivalry is going to look like, then sign me up for all of it, right? They're such gracious hosts. There's a little bit of taunting, a little bit of kind of getting under the skin, but we're also a little bit in our feels because we lost. But they were very gracious, opened their tailgate up to all of us, not even just, the podcast friends that they had, but complete strangers that happened to be, wearing the yellow and gray, black, whatever it is, and just eating, drinking, partying, having a great old time.
That's awesome.
Now, they did want to continue the partying after the game, and I think the parking security said that they couldn't do that because they had the Rangers playing, and just there was so much going on there that weekend. So we decided to take it over to another location and continue hanging out and everything. Great time. Again, they're such gracious and friendly hosts. They opened up their tailgating, honestly, pretty much to everybody, just like your family. Now, when it comes game time, a little different, right? They're going to be a little salty and a little rough. But before and after, perfect.
Hey, that's awesome.
So,
And you love to hear that, because that's what really makes people become fans, true fans, in my opinion.
yes.
That friendly banter, not you're not going to attack someone else, you're actually going to do something productive.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I'm going to let you, because it's your show. So,
hey, I
say
like
what to
it
do
listening
next.
to you. You're okay. You're okay.
Okay.
You basically ran through most of what I was going to say. You just didn't get into the specifics.
Okay. I
Of
mean,
it.
we can definitely get into the specifics of it. Like I said, Kellen Mond, 17-31, 159 yards. Not great, but not horrible. At least didn't throw any picks or anything, right? We didn't get any pick sixes this weekend. Although we did pick off Luis Perez. And I think that's important to note, because Luis Perez this year looks like the Luis Perez from several years ago, right? Last year, I understand he was the
Looking
league
good.
leader in offense and everything, but he didn't look right. He looked off every time he played. Well, Saturday he did not look off. He
I
was
agree.
laser focused. He was sharp.
I
Right.
agree 100%.
Your previous guest mentioned about Ballage. I still haven't quite figured out how it is that we let Ballage go. And I have to believe, having been a somewhat competitive athlete in high school and, junior college level, that there's always going to be a little bit of saltiness from, towards any team that has let you go.
Mm-hmm.
You always are going to carry a little bit of chip on your shoulder. Well, I think he did going into that game, and he 100%, showed us up. 110 yards on 9 carries.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown. Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous. How do you get that much from a defense who's supposed to be even better than they were last year? Like, these are some of the stories, some of the sentiments, some of the things that we were hearing from the Brahmas training camp and the Brahmas staff, was that this defense was going to be even nastier than last year. And turns out that's not actually true right now, right? So we got to work on the defensive side of the ball completely. right? Um, they, I guess Mike was saying maybe Ballage went to the Jets. I didn't hear that. I have to look that up. Um, but either way, he is looking to show up and show out, right? That he's ready for the next step. So I feel bad for anybody that's going to have to try and wrap him up and tackle him because they're going to get stomped. Back to our
Don't forget,
defense.
don't forget about Davion Smith with his 3 carries for 3 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's one you need to talk about as well because I feel like he's a sleeper. That guy,
Oh
he's
yeah.
waiting.
I think he was used strategically in key situations. He's going to be much more like a Lovett kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just his build, the way he carries himself and everything. He is much more of a smash mouth, just knock you down and beat you up type player. So yeah, 100%, 3 attempts, 3 tutties, 3 yards. That's all he had to do. And, people tend to forget about players like that because they're not out there putting up the big numbers. They're not out there making these big splashy plays, 75-yard runs, crazy things like that. But in key situations, when you need to get that ball 2 or 3 yards, that's the kind of guy who's going to do it, and you're not going to be able to stop him. So, I mean, Arlington has a definite secret weapon there, and if people are not watching for him and preparing for him, it's going to make for a very bad day for him. So,
Yep.
but even then,
Agreed.
right? Just talking about, the offense on the defensive side of things, like I said, and I don't really know any of the Arlington players like specifically. But I'm not going to forget that they're good, right? They had our players, all of our receivers were pretty much blanketed. If you look at the passes that Mon did take, there was nothing longer than like 20 yards. We never challenged deep down the field. And okay, some of that could be because the pocket pressure, Bond's still trying to figure it out. Maybe we were playing conservatively because Bond was still trying to kind of put everything together. Viking Wax Press, that's good information to know. I'm gonna have to try and get those colors at Sherwin-Williams and paint my whole house with them. But you could tell that the guys that we were expecting to do some stuff, they couldn't because they were blanketed, right? So we had to rely on our run game much more than I think what we were expecting. Plus, with Kellen still trying to kind of figure things out, you go with the run because who can't hand the ball off in a run scheme, right? On the defensive side of things, and I showed off the tattoo that I have, but I actually got that tattoo done by Jordan Williams. Jordan Williams showed up, man. 10 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 tackle for loss. He was moving around the field. That's the most that any player got on our squad. Other than that, it was like 6, 5, 4, and it just goes down from there.
Yeah, let me add.
run-
The San Antonio defense allowed 33 points, which is more than double what the unit allowed on average last season.
Mhm.
And you could tell.
And
I mean, you
yeah.
really could tell.
We got a lot of tackles and everything this game, but we couldn't stop the forward progress. Yeah, maybe they had to chip away at it and do it, 2, 3 yards at a time, but they kept moving and kept going forward and kept getting first downs. We could not shut them down like we would have last year. So again, it's important to note that as of Saturday, the team that you saw is not the team that was the team from last year. But again, that doesn't mean that this is time to sell your stock in the Brahmas and give up on them yet. It's been 1 week, right? Let's play a team like St. Louis, who I don't think got a fair opportunity, if you will, to display their talents.
Oh, they got the opportunity. They got it.
They did, but how are they going to play in the face of adversity?
That's what we need to
Right?
see. That's what we need to see.
Right. Like Birmingham, for example. Birmingham had a fight on their hands. And I know they came in, the whole we're going to 4-peat. I know that attitude filtered down into the players. I know it did. I mean, I've been in those situations before. So I know it's going to affect your swagger a little bit. Well, that didn't work out so well for them, as we saw, right? And with all the craziness that happened in DC, call it a blessing in disguise. But thankfully, that is a player-led team, right? So you switch out coaches, doesn't really matter. You've got your offensive and defensive leaders in the locker room that are really the ones that are kind of barking out the orders and keeping the troops in line. So the head coach just has to say, oh, I see, offense is shifting to the right. They're going to do a screen right. And then you call, the opposing defense to stop that from happening. But that's also kind of what your linebackers are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be shifting for the coverage. So really, the head coach doesn't have to. He's not as integral into the success of a team as people might think. Right? We're seeing it here with DC.
Question
However,
for you.
Go ahead.
So, Coach Wade, he coached from the press box. I know you heard about that. Have you heard anything else regarding that?
Nobody in San Antonio has heard anything officially or of any significant value to add any kind of insight as to what was going on there.
Cool.
Perhaps he wasn't feeling good that day. Maybe he was trying to give Coach Party an opportunity to do a little bit more coaching because Wade's kind of already done it all. He's climbed the mountain. He's seen the view from the mountaintop. Maybe now it's time to kind of let others start stepping into that role, and he takes more of a back seat. I don't know. Nobody really knows. I'm hopeful to see what's going to happen in St. Louis. I will be going to St. Louis and watching that game. There'll be a couple of us going, but it certainly won't be the numbers like we had going to Arlington. And I don't know that I blame them, man. I mean, we put helpful suggestions in the suggestion box at the Battle Dome, if you will, the chicken coop. We asked them, to clean up the newspapers and the feathers and all that stuff, and maybe put a little spit shine on the place. And they still haven't done it. So I don't know that people are going to want to go and deal with that.
What do you think of the attendance from your end? I say tickets sold, whatever, ticket distributed, whatever you want to call it. 10,114. What do you feel about that, being it's in Arlington? It's a little different. How many were Renegades fans and Brahmas fans? Was it a good mix, or was it one kind of over the other while you were there?
Well, it was definitely more Arlington fans. But I will say this. We held true to tradition, and the small group of us that were there, probably about, I'd say give or take around 500, including player families and things like that. The 500 that we had there, as you can hear on the national broadcast, were still louder than their probably about 6,000 fans, 7,000 maybe, right? The Arlington fans, God love them, and this is not a jab. I'm taking the Banditos completely out of this statement here. So in case you guys are watching, I am sticking up for you. Outside of the Banditos, Arlington fans do this. Oh, touchdown.
Let me tell you when I went in 2020, that was the first game I went to where they played the Battlehawks, and it was lit. That first game, it was so lit. But yeah,
well,
memories.
I think maybe if it was lit, they burnt that flame a little bit too bright, and it burnt the candle down, because now they are pretty quiet. I will tell you, there was a group of teenagers there that I'm assuming were from the Arlington area that were rooting for the Brahmas because they're salty against the Renegades, and that's fine, whatever. But those kids had more energy than half the people around them, right? And yeah, I would 100% agree with Drew's statement there.
Yeah,
this team was
good.
dialed up and dialed in. They looked sharp, and I don't think they would have been successful against the 2024 Brahmas, but so far the 2025 Brahmas, walk in the park for them, and that's really sad. I mean, I hate saying that, but
nothing wrong with being truthful.
We were not ready. Oh yeah,
week 2 is upon us. It's not far away. Before we move on, what do you think of the TV ratings? How do you feel about that?
I think
584,000. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and this is going to be a much more regionalized game, right? There's going to be a lot less people on the West Coast and East Coast that are going to care about two Texas teams playing each other.
Yep.
Just like next week when Arlington plays Houston, it's going to be a Texas market. That's going to be about what you're going to get. Plus, with opening day, and we've got NHL, getting ready to go into the playoffs. You've got a guy who's quickly closing in on the Great Ones record. He's about 3 goals away, if I remember correctly, to tie and 4 to win. You've got, NBA going on. I mean, there's all these different sports kind of just colliding all at the same time. And so even auto racing is going on, right?
Yep.
And so you're going to be fighting against all of those other different events. I think overall, those are not necessarily bad numbers. Could they be a little bit better? Well, yeah, because they were last year. But last year was also, there was still this whole kind of conflict and this rough up between the the USFL fans and the XFL fans. And, everybody was kind of just fighting against each other. And there was a lot of tension, led for a lot of, good TV drama, if you will. This year, we don't have that as much. Right now, it's just kind of like, well, everybody hates Birmingham, because they're the 3-time champions, even though how can you be a 3-time champion in a league that's only existed for 1 year? That's a whole separate show. And then, of course, the San Antonio Brahmas, who are, the reigning XFL champions, who absolutely fell apart in the championship game. I mean, stunk up the joint.
Yeah.
The whole other show we could do on that too, and we're not going to, right? But he who shall not be named, our former quarterback, has a lot to do with that, and that's all I'm going to say right now. A lot of that drama is gone, though, right? You don't really have that conflict. You don't have, the horrible Arlington team. I was going to say you don't have the horrible Houston team, but that's not true at all. You don't have the sleeper that is Michigan, because everybody counted Michigan out last year, and they did pretty good.
Yeah.
And this year they're kind of proving it. DC has become a powerhouse, right?
Agreed.
The dynamics of everything has changed. So all that, taken into consideration, I don't think those numbers are necessarily horrible. I would be concerned, though, after this weekend, if those numbers don't come up a little bit. I would think then that would kind of be the time to start worrying about it, especially considering, and I don't remember all the particulars, so I don't want to say anything, out of character and quote something that isn't exactly true. But if I read the article correctly, there was an article that came out, I believe, earlier today, that's dropping some more nuggets about the expansion. They didn't announce teams or anything like that, but I believe they hinted towards that announcement coming later on this year, rather than it being next year, like towards the beginning of the season. So I think that is going to, and if they do that, that's a strategic move that I agree with. That should get some more eyes back on the league, right? Hockey should be finishing up soon. Basketball should be finishing up soon. So those fans are going to, have some free time on their hands. They'll probably click back into, the UFL, hopefully. And then I've heard rumblings about some broadcast deals. Again, can't really speak to that because I'm only seeing one side of the story, and I don't have any confirmation, from the party that's directly involved. But there could be potentially some broadcasting opportunities to get more eyes on the league. Again, I wish I could say more about it, but I don't have enough meat on that story to confidently say anything, and I don't want to say something that I have to retract. Just keep your eyes out on social media, right? Obviously, this show here, any of the other podcasts. If this thing does come through, it could potentially help the UFL in a very big way. That's all we can really say at this point.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate that. You'd be surprised the hate messages you get from stuff like that. I mean, you should know. You're in this scope of things. But I know when the merger was happening, man, I was getting some toxic ass trolls. Excuse my language, but it was bad. But anyway, what do you feel like coming into this next week, game time? I got the wrong game up here. You're definitely not the Arlington Renegades, are you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Originally, I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead and say what you were going to say and ask your questions, because I don't know where exactly you're going.
I was going to say originally, I put out I always put the stuff on Facebook from Twitter, and Mike Mitchell came out and he had the post of the numbers, and Arlington was listed twice on there. And I mean, it was all fixed on the social media end, but the actual picture was wrong. And so that kind of threw me for a loop myself. You guys
Yeah.
got to really look at the information. Anybody at home, like, it's always better to find this stuff out yourself. Don't listen to me and be thinking I'm knowing and all being. Same thing for Jay or anyone else. Like, research the stuff yourself. You can find all this on your own.
I can give you another perfect example. A member of our fan base had asked a question about season ticket member benefits for the away games. And I shot my mouth off and said, there are no benefits for us whatsoever. Completely stuck my foot in my mouth. And thank God our ticket rep, who I'm sure you've heard of, James Carr II,
Great dude.
absolute saint of a man, right? Even got accommodations from our city council because he's done so much to help out like veterans and stuff. And, using the Brahmas to do that. Like it's him doing it, but he's wearing all Brahmas stuff and promoting the Brahmas the whole entire time. So the guy's an absolute genius at his job. Anyways, he was nice enough to jump in and say, well, SAJ, that's not exactly true. And here are the benefits. So I issued a public apology there, issued it on both of my shows and said, you know what? Sometimes we get it wrong. And sometimes we chase leads thinking they're going somewhere and we jump ahead of it only to find out that we're wrong. It does happen in media, but the important thing is to make sure that you take it back as soon as you can and admit that you made a mistake, right? So 100% what you're saying. Sometimes we post, graphics that, maybe we didn't check close enough, or, again, sometimes we're chasing a story and we get a little too excited and maybe report a little bit too much. But this is where you fans are encouraged to go and do your research as well, right? This is a fan-based league. So we should all be following the Mike Mitchells and, the Matts and the SAJs and the everybody, and just comparing all the information and seeing what actually is going on, right? Anyways, get off
Let's
my
wrap.
soapbox
Let's
here.
wrap it up. I gotta get someone else on here. I appreciate everything, dude. We'll definitely get you back on here again. Been a great conversation. And guys at home, you were talking about the Dazen. How do you say that? Do you know how to say that, Jay? Is it
I
Dazen?
don't. I thought it was Dazen. I
Dazen?
don't know.
Gotcha.
Again, yeah, don't want to say too much about it because I only have their side of the story. I don't have anything from the UFL.
No worries, dude.
So
I'm going to post the article to the comments. They can check it out themselves because we'll just spend another 20 minutes on it anyway. So no worries.
Oh, yeah. And it does look like the UFL is maybe working on formalizing some kind of a deal with the UFL. Again, we don't know anything about that really, or I don't. But fingers crossed, hopefully that happens because that will definitely mean life for the UFL.
Did you mean NFL?
No, if the UFL makes a deal to partner with the NFL, then it's life for the UFL.
Gotcha. You said UFL twice. I was just making sure that's not what you meant.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. I was just making sure. No problem at all.
Right.
Quickly. Game time. Are you ready? What's some improvements you guys got to make? Quickly. 30 seconds.
First and foremost, we actually have to shut down that line. We cannot allow their running back to get that many yards. Secondly, we need to make sure that our secondaries are covering people deep and looking for opportunities to pick the ball because Manny Wilkins is not that great of a quarterback. And then third, we have to produce on offense. We cannot go 3 and out every single time we have the ball. So coaches, get into those players, get into that game. Let's get this win in San Antonio. Let's roast us some battle chickens. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Jay. I appreciate you coming on, man. Take care till next time.
Certainly, man.
Guys, check out Texans Talking Football. My goodness, it's a mouthful for sure. Tongue twister.
It is.
But check that out. He's also on Horns Forward podcast with the San Antonio Brahmas crew. Horns on tour, correct?
Bulls on tour.
Bulls on tour. You heard them, guys. Get there if you're a fan.
We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Thank you, Jay. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
All right. Appreciate Jay. That one went a little longer, but it was good. Next up, let's pull Jesse in. Jesse is from My Panther Pride. I'm sure most of you are familiar by now. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going good, man. How you been?
Very good. So I'm guessing you're pretty happy from your performance week 1, correct?
Yeah. It was solid. All around, I really was pretty happy with the showcase. We had a lot of oddities. The way it ended was nice. So yeah, it was a good game.
And quick summary. I mean, could you summarize it from a Panthers fan's eyes, kind of how the game unfolded?
Well, we started off, slow week 1, obviously. We got BT Potter got his first field goal of the season, so it was like, all right, nice, new guy can kick. Then we got Bryce Perkins scrambling for the first touchdown, which was pretty wild. He was not being denied. One thing I did notice was the D-line really performed well, but Breland Speaks didn't really show up as much as typically on the stat sheet. But again, he's kind of getting that, Aaron Donald effect at this point in the league where everybody's gravitating towards him. But I mean, it leaves people open. Let me pull this up real quick. I can't remember.
No
so
problem.
yeah. Moreno had 7 total tackles, half sack. Kenny Wilkes, 6. They were eating, so he was freeing everyone else up to do the work. So it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that 80-yard pick at the end of the game was absolutely beautiful.
I know. And also, I don't know. I know they posted it, but shout out to Lauren. He let me know that is the first time that the Nakuas have scored on the same day.
That's awesome.
So yeah, because they were never like on the same team. They had, they had the gap, different schools and stuff. So that's pretty cool stat, and especially week 1, and for it to be the 2 touchdowns and then Kai to seal the deal. So that was great. Yeah.
That pick got me up out of my chair. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I was at the watch party in Troy. The Panthers put one on here at it was like DraftKings Sports Social. Yeah, and the whole place lit up. It was pretty cool. They had Pablo, the mascot. He actually signed this for me while I was there.
That's awesome, dude.
Shout out Pablo.
Let's go, Pablo.
Yes, sir.
Perkins did pretty good. 84% pass rate, 16 to 19, 1 rushing TD. Now, I want to ask you about one thing specifically. Why do you think they switched quarterbacks mid-game?
I think. Oh, sorry about that.
I
think it was almost a little bit of indecision. I don't know if some people might have picked it up. There was a wide open receiver in the end zone when he was fighting through all that stuff. I mean, we just got him back from injury. And I know he survived the hurdle earlier in the game, but I don't want to see him trying to weave through traffic that much. So I think maybe it was a change of pace. I know we kind of seen that last year. I know injuries kind of dictated that, but I mean, they ended up with him back in the game, and I don't think that it's going to be Danny Atling's going to be in the game, but I don't think it's going to be for long spurts. I mean, what did he have? He was in for 6. Yeah, so he went 4 for 6, 30 yards, 66%. So, I mean, he wasn't detrimental, but I mean, when you have Perkins in there pretty much shouldering a lot of the load for the beginning portion, at least.
Definitely. And it almost reminded me of last year a little bit. We saw a lot of different quarterback play in 2024 from the Panthers. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't bad. There was a few negatives, but for the most part, they could run any of those quarterbacks and were pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, no turnovers. I mean, the one thing we didn't really get the run game going, but we were able to play the game that we played because we were consistently running the ball. I mean, it looks not as effective on the television as it is when you're on the field and somebody's running into you over and over and over, especially when you have, Ryan Nelson and Cole Cabral. I think Cole Cabral was a number 1 rated rushing lineman, or one of the top 3. And then Ryan Nelson was the top 5 or something like that. I don't know. They were very well PFF rated, their O-line, regardless of, I think the highest. Yeah. So McCreary only had 34 yards. So that was the leading rusher.
I haven't even checked out those. Those must be recent. What did they drop yesterday or today? The PFF grades?
I seen them. I ended up with the flyer at some point, and I was digging through them all.
Gotcha.
I think it was earlier today.
Gotcha.
I was at work when I was trying to check it out.
So let's talk about Memphis a little bit as well. Memphis saw some positives with Jonathan Adams, Matt Coughlin. The thing about Memphis was they switched quarterbacks mid-game as well, but it didn't go too good for them, in my opinion.
No, but I think in the same kind of vein, Troy Williams offers a little bit more mobility, and I think we kind of saw that.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't know if anybody else seen it, but it seemed like the team was more behind him. Like it almost injected, and maybe that might be,
it seemed like they were preparing with him almost. And
right. And say you got some random pitcher on the mound. I mean, I know it's a weird analogy, but then you inject your starter pitcher on the mound, and everybody's comfortable and everybody's ready to play. So that kind of felt like what happened. And I mean, they ended up closing the gap towards the end before Kai closed it out, like we talked about.
Yeah, 26-12 was a pretty good score for that game. What do you think of the tickets sold?
It was rough. I mean,
4,373 guys, if you're listening.
Yeah, they were. I mean, you can see it, and it's week 1. I don't know if the weather, because everybody knew that it was going to be terrible. I mean, we're getting hit right now. I don't know if you can tell. We got like flood warnings, but I'm hoping. I mean, I heard wind that next week's gonna be better. I think Michigan is the only team that had an uptick in either ticket sales or season member tickets. But so I've caught wind from sources that it's supposed to be better, even though, I mean, I don't know, nobody around the, probably you guys from Tech or wherever you're from, everybody who's listening, but here we have opening day for the Tigers. So they're starting in Comerica Park. That is a holiday. They closed down Detroit for that. And so that's starting. And then there's a Wings game. Granted, they are pitifully falling out of the race, but still they're there at 7. And then we have the game here at 8. So Friday should be interesting. I know I'm going to be down there with my, what are they, flight directors when they're down on the runway with the lights. I'll be trying to coax people over there. So
well, good luck, my friend. I think you'll be okay though. Yeah. If that uptick really did happen, I'll be excited to see that.
Mm-hmm. Especially to start week 2.
Yeah,
to
for
kind of
sure.
Ease everybody's minds. Okay, maybe it's everything's gonna be okay, guys. There is football being played. Remember at some point in this offseason, we were like, is this happening?
Let's talk about the TV rating. 569,000. I don't know what this one peaked at. This was the average. Could be improved for sure.
Yes, it could be improved. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that it's the first game of the Sunday, and then the first game. What was the score? Yeah, so the Battlehawks Roughnecks. I mean, that was almost 700,000. I mean, they all need to be improved. But
yes, sir.
I don't know. Hopefully, again with week 2, maybe the Memphis fans were all just inside because it was so rainy. But
have faith, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that they're starting to pick up more with now that they have game footage to put out and they have actual content that they can put out. I think people are going to start gaining more interest. That's where all the shorts come from. I mean, everybody knows that. That's where everybody's getting their views and getting the information out there, at least. So I have faith. I think it's going to pick up.
Yeah, I got this quote. Let me put this on the screen. March Madness averaged 7 million viewers. And this is Friday, I believe. World Figure Skating Championship on NBC averaged 1.73 million viewers. So if we can get up a little bit, I'll be happy with that. But yeah. I mean, it's a tough skating right now, especially when like you saw the game Friday was just a blowout.
I honestly think that might have been a little bit of the issue, because not only did you have the first game, then you had the second game that wasn't, competitive for a decent portion of the game as well. So maybe with the tail end and then Birmingham getting knocked off, and Lauren's going to be down there. We're going to be, we'll both have signs, and maybe we'll get Pablo over there with them things, man.
There you go, dude. Unofficial mascot. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Mike from Panthers is going to be down there. He's going to be incognito, though. Nobody's going to know who he is.
Good times, man. I wish I lived up that way. I'd like to visit.
Oh, it's because the weather's starting to break too, man. So you're bottled in for so long, and then you got no choice but to just let it out. And that's why you got boats. We got the water. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm on the coast, and it goes from being winter to like humid spring to summer. That's what you get.
See, we had like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had like 70-degree days. It was beautiful. And now today it was like, it peaked at 40, but it was just torrential downpouring, like flooding everywhere. It's like, come on, man.
You got it, my friend. Let's talk about the Friday game. So the Stallions are coming to you guys. Mm-hmm. Game starts up 8 p.m. Eastern. It's on Fox. How you feeling? What's some keys for your success or the Panthers' success in this game?
I'm feeling good. I think we kind of touched on all of them. Honestly, everything the two that I have is the D line, because I mean we've seen what happened when where the defenders placed a lot of value in rushing the passer for that game. I mean we can all say that. So
Definitely.
I think that we need to. I think that they're going to try to focus on Breland again. So I think that may sway it. So I think maybe tipping their scheme one way or another might play into, you got Frank the Tank on, out there leading the team in tackles. You got Kenny, you got everybody out there. I think they'll be able to. And even Adonis Alexander started the game with that hit. We didn't even talk about that. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, there we go. Even Levi. So
I was going to play the highlights, but YouTube's acting wonky on me. But that was definitely one I was going to show, dude.
He hit him so hard his own helmet came off.
That's what I told my girlfriend. I'm like, you got to see this.
Yeah.
That's what I love about spring football. Not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. Sheridan apparently is going to be active too. So I'm excited to see his speed. I didn't know that. I still seen I didn't see the post, but I'm excited because in camp they were talking about how quick this kid is. So I'm very excited to see him with the ball in play, especially against the Stallions. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think the offensive line needs to continue. So I think we need to be able to finish drives. I know we did score, but granted there was a lot of second efforts by Bryce Perkins. So that's athleticism, A. And then we had a defensive turnover off of not a great throw. Yeah. So that's two scores right there. So I think that we had in the third quarter, I think we had a 12-13 play drive. And then we ended up kicking a field goal. It's like, we got to get down there, man. So I think offensive line, if they keep going and they're able to let the run game start, I think D-line and then get going in the trenches, man. Go figure.
Yeah, and you guys would have had more points if it wasn't for the couple missed field goals also. It would have been a little bit more of a lead for you.
Yeah, but
they were far. It was like 50, 53.
Yeah, 53. So he went two for yeah.
Let's see, I got it pulled up. Yeah, he had one for 32 yards and then another for 43. He missed a 58 and a 50.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's good, man. You can't the 50, you might want that, but the 58, we pushing it a little bit. Everybody's not Jake Bates.
He set Clemson's like scoring record or something like that, and he was above 90s for his every season he was there, but his longest I think for his career was like 54. So when we first signed him, we were doing a little digging. So we kind of knew that it wasn't going to be a little, Jake Bates Legatron thing going on.
Yeah.
But they're testing him out. I mean, there was a interview with Mike Nolan at some point in the week, and he was like, "Well, I mean, we're gonna test him out," and he did. So we knew it was coming. He told us.
Yeah, and I'm sure outside in Memphis is a lot more windier.
Oh yeah,
and they're in the what's the stadium you guys play in? What is it called?
Ford Field,
which
they just signed the new deal, so they're here until 2036 now.
Wow.
It's going to be Ford Field. So congratulations to Ford. I mean, I like Ford Field. I think it's a lot of people think it's ugly, but it looks like a Detroit factory, and look how packed up it is.
That's history for Detroit now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the Superdome. Back in the day, it was the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, I believe. Mm-hmm. And now I can't even tell you what it is. It's something completely different. Now Mercedes-Benz, I believe, is in Atlanta.
All these name changes, man. Heinz Field going to Acrisure, like that hurts. And
that's not weird on your brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
Well, man, let me see. I think I have one question for you I wanted to hit up.
All right.
Let's see. It was from Royce, I believe. Here he goes. Said Potter missed 2 of 4, though. Should they have kept Blewett instead?
I think there was 2 competitions in camp. So, they brought in 2 different guys. Obviously, Blewett went elsewhere. Roughnecks, I believe, right? Roughnecks signed him. So after it, Caesar's Palace Superdome. There we go. Thank you, Rick. But so they signed Blewett, and I think he got through camp. And as I just talked about, and Coach Nolan said, he's going to test him. So, we don't know Blewett would have kicked in those situations, especially like you said with the bad weather. So I think he made it through camp. I mean, hindsight maybe 2020, but as of now, I mean, I'm gonna roll with what Coach Nolan's got.
Yeah, I'll tell you from experience, I've been to Liberty Bowl Stadium a lot in my life because I've lived close to there growing up all my years, and it does get quite windy for sure.
Okay. Well, it wasn't so wide left as some other kicks. So
yeah. But anything else you got, man? I know everybody at home, My Panther Pride is where you can find Jesse and Lauren. They're doing their thing. Super proud of them. They've started off pretty good this year, and excited to see how you guys finish it up, man. You've been one of the good shows. You and Horns Forward. There's a few others. Texans Talking Football. I mean, I'm a big fan, so keep doing your thing, dude.
Yeah, we try to bounce over with them, and especially with I'm not trying to jump this game. But,
you're okay.
We're focused on the Stallions. But when we get to the Brahmas, I mean, with them coming to town, we're definitely going to be mixing up with them. So it's going to be an interesting week leading up. And I mean, you can hear it in Jay's voice. So I wonder if that's why. Is that why BD didn't come on? Does he just have no voice?
I'm excited for you to see them in action. I'm really excited.
Everybody has told us about it, man. So I mean, they're talking it up, and I mean, I can see he's got to be. You got lozenges or something? Lozenges.
They're a good crew, man. They're a lot of fun.
You'll awesome guys. But I'm excited to see them in action, like you said, in their environment.
Yeah. I mean, I always believed what they did, but until I saw it in person, I didn't really understand. Not gonna lie. They are that energy for the Brahmas. They are the sideline energy. So
UFL Isaac is coming to Detroit. Ooh,
said he's traveling to every stadium this year.
There's a lot of people doing that. I can't just scheduling my kids' gymnastics and me being on a podcast is stretching it some days, I can't imagine how people are working the logistics of these things out.
Dude, I'll tell you personally, I was trying to attend every game I could, but I mean, it's just too expensive. There's a lot more you can do in the background that more beneficial than going to the game, unless that's your enjoyment. And so,
right. I like to get a couple. Me and Lauren have been talking about going to, if it gets solidified that the championship's in St. Louis, because I mean that should be a great environment, and I mean especially if there's a little bit of these colors in there. So
I'm same. Hopefully that will get announced before July or June. I mean,
right,
and then we can really get it scheduled, because I'm the same. I just want to schedule it, get it over with.
Exactly. Where it's like waiting, and you don't want to keep looking up the same the same hotels. It's like, you gotta wait.
My girlfriend asks me every week.
Myself right now.
Every week she's saying, "Have they told you? Have they told you?" Because she wants to go see an Old Dominion concert the night before the game, and I'm like, "Sorry, babe, we got plans."
Unless it's somewhere wild, you're like, no.
I appreciate you, Jesse, man. Is there anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, not really. I mean, like you said, check out My Panther Pride. We got a few things going on. We got a giveaway going on for some tickets actually to the Brahmas game. So, yep, that should be interesting. We're trying to get tailgating together with that, and then we'll just keep trying to put out the information, man.
Hey, keep doing good work, guys. I like your stuff.
I appreciate it. I want to say I appreciate you for everything you do. I know you and Drew as well. Drew's been helping me out big time.
Yeah, I didn't even mention you were writing, man. Let me mention that. So Jesse's writing for us now also. It worked out well because you're a Panther guy through and through. So check him out on AFN. He's already put out one Shakedown article, so he will have some more coming out. Yeah,
I got my other one getting ran through right now, and I'm just put one in and still tweaking it. Got some coming out for sure.
Hey man, good work. It gets busy when you're doing the podcast and the writing and the real life. So,
but it helps solidify some things. But then there's some numbers. I swear I'll say it, and I'm like, that isn't. What am I talking about? That wasn't even what I was thinking.
It's just too much info sometimes. Your brain's just blah blah blah. It just comes
especially
out.
When you got you got your book filled with stuff. You got your screen down here, multiple. It's like,
I understand 100%. I got so many things hooked up in here, cords, wires.
Yeah, I'm about to start just having a podcast with them Apple things, so I can just.
It'd be easy.
Move it all around.
I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
You too. All right. So wrapping it up with Jesse. Thanks for coming on again, Jesse. Check out My Panther Pride, guys. I will be getting the host, him and Lauren, on the show throughout the season if they can. So definitely check them out, though, in the meantime. If you're a Panther person and you don't know about them, that's who you want to check out, I promise. So give them a look. Thank you again for coming on. All right. We got one more game to talk about. I got my friend Drew Wells. Drew called in, so there won't be any video, but should be good on talking. How's it going, Drew?
Hey, not too bad. How about yourself, bud?
Very good. I appreciate you joining me tonight. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Can you hear me now? Turn your volume up. There you go. I hear it.
All right, there we are.
There you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Good to go. I was just saying, how are you doing tonight?
No, doing good, man. It's been a while. It kind of reminded me of old days a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. Back when I started we started the XFL Insider Podcast back in 2023. Drew was one of my co-hosts along with another person. And it was a successful venture, very busy, but it was a whole nother production, man. We'd meet up, we'd record, and then I'd edit. And so now it's just live. You mess up, it's here forever. The errors do happen. You can't help it, too. And sometimes it's funny, I think. It just shows that you're human.
Yeah, you keep that human element. I think that's why podcasts are so successful in general. Like, there's that human element, you know?
Yeah, not everybody wants to see a fake showmanship all the time. It's cool every now and then, but, you want real conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. The authenticity is what does it.
Yes, sir. So let's talk about this DC game. I mean, DC was firing, man. To me, between Arlington and them, I think DC's got top in the XFL conference. Tell me a little bit more about what you saw from your eyes of the game.
So DC, obviously, it seemed like really kind of took control from the very beginning in a defensive perspective. Special teams was also sharp. I think there was a lot of people that were caught up in what the coaching situation was, considering Coach Barlow stepped down basically the week of the game.
Yep.
And myself included, I didn't think that there was much of a way for DC to really make an impact in the game. But after seeing the post game handshake, it's very clear why DC stood up for their coach. Like when you're a coach and you get told by a different coach that you're less than in some shape, form, or fashion, that sticks with you. And if your players back you up, your players are going to come out on fire. And that's exactly what happened. The defensive line for DC just absolutely barged through the revolving door of Birmingham's offensive line. It was kind of borderline unfair. I mean, there's 8 sacks for, I think it was 73 total yards.
Yeah,
that's going to set any offense back.
Especially the 4-peat champions.
Yes, and I think that's a big thought to keep in mind, is that was the same exact offensive line that's been there. There wasn't like a new addition on the offensive line that was chopping things up and messing with their chemistry. This was a complete lack of ambition from Birmingham, and absolute flames from DC in terms of intensity. And that's what you saw on the field.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. I mean, it was pretty obvious. The score wasn't really dictative of that at first. We went a lot of field goals at first, but as the game unfolded, you kind of saw Birmingham. I mean, you could see like this meltdown that you've never really seen from that team, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that kind of you can put blame in a couple of different positions. You can say that that the coaches didn't have Birmingham ready. You could say that Magoo hasn't been in football for 2 years, so what's he even doing in the starting lineup right now? You can say a million different things. But the fact of the matter is, it seemed like they were in their heads.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were kind of drinking a little bit of their own Kool-Aid and not giving DC a whole bunch of respect. And Coach Skip's words kind of reflected that. I mean, you hear what was said in that post-game handshake. It's very clear that DC was being overlooked. They were thought differently of, and that's how the whole team, the whole organization approached that game. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think DC is better than Birmingham. I really don't.
I don't know. After that, man, it was
complete domination.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've all seen some really good teams put up some stinkers in regular season play, and especially for it to be the first week, I think that's largely a wake up call for Birmingham. I'm glad that DC did it to them, and so are almost 12,500 other fans, but I don't know that that's going to be sustainable over the length of the year for DC. If it is, great. But when your offense is not playing necessarily up to par, your quarterback's throwing 45%, even though he had a whole bunch of yards, he threw for 45%, or excuse me, 46% rounded up. Not that that's important, but that's the offense for DC is going to have to pick up if they want to have a successful season.
Yeah, no doubt. Anthony Hines, linebacker, he was defensive player of the game for DC. Recorded a total of 6 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for a loss. Matt McCrane.
Recovery.
Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't have that one. Yeah, also a fumble recovery. Matt McCrane went 4 for 4 with a 53-yard long field goal. He was also dubbed the Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yep, and that kind of, I think that overall paints the picture for DC is the defense was there and the special teams was there, but the offense got them there kind of, but there was no red zone offense. There was one opportunity at red zone offense. The offense really kind of sputtered out of control and lost their way pretty early in the game. It's a thing for DC over the past several years. The first year that Teamu was there, they were great, firing on all cylinders. And the past few years that they've been around, Teamu is not performing up to snuff. It's kind of slow. He doesn't do a whole lot of running, which he did a lot more running in the initial XFL when he was with the Battlehawks, and that's what made them so prolific in offense. Obviously, being before AJ McCarron came along, so it kind of betrays a little bit how good of a player Teamu is to not let him run the ball a whole lot. I don't know if that's he can't or if it's the offensive coordinator's design, but that if he could run the ball a little bit more, that might open up a little bit more room for the running game. It might open up more blown coverages in the passing game. A running quarterback can really, really do you in, and that's not something that's been capitalized on.
Yeah, he went -1 yard during this game, week 1.
And that's against a team that didn't really get after him too much either.
Yeah. I feel that, and I'm in agreement. I just think in terms of clicking, man, it was almost like you can tell that they have played together, much like the Renegades.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what Royce is saying right there, Viking wax press.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do it too, Royce. It's just a habit.
No, I mean, a low score is probably what you should expect. I would expect a big fall off, or well, maybe not a huge fall off for DC's defense, but I don't expect an 8-sack performance again. I don't expect either offense to really hit 300 total yards. I don't think either offense hit 300 total yards. Both of them were just a little bit below. Talking about Memphis and DC, they were both a little bit below 300 yards. So not a whole lot of firepower. The red zone offense for DC is virtually non-existent. Memphis showed a little bit of hope in the red zone, but ultimately they were something like 23 or 25% on third down in their game last weekend. So, I mean, unless there's some significant improvement on both offenses, you're probably looking at a slap fight.
Yeah, we're going to see some field goals, no doubt. We're going to see some balls get kicked, my friends. Let's talk about the tickets sold, ticket distribution. 12,254, and you could tell that place was live.
Oh yeah, that place is always live. You're talking about a group of fans who were so jaded at Dan Snyder from being Redskins Commanders fans for eons, and seeing him do the exact same things and sink good team after good team. They take it to the XFL, create a whole new culture with the beer snake. F Dan Snyder chants in the crowd that are, you can hear them on TV. Just a wild environment. Excellent field. They're in Audi Field, MLS stadium for DC United.
You can hear the difference, man. Just from the cameras on TV.
And the fans are basically right there on the field. There's not a whole lot of space between the fans and the players, especially at the end zones. So, and I think that was reflected a few years back when you saw the Lemons come out.
Yes, sir.
Just a fantastic fan culture. It's wonderful there. And, they create such a welcoming environment, but man, are they on fire from first kick to last. Like it's really one of the best places that I've ever been for a sporting event. And obviously it doesn't come anywhere close to what I'm about to mention, but it's a similar feel to Tiger Stadium in Louisiana. Like, every single fan wants their voice to be heard. They're drinking crazy amounts of beer or other liquids if they can get them in. I mean, people are throwing things on the field if something happens that they don't like. It's just wild. And I think that's what makes DC such a great venue. And honestly, when you're in a venue like that, it's hard to get anything going when you have a rough start, and that might have had something to do with Birmingham as well.
Yeah.
When you come in to a road environment and there's rowdy fans there after you've spent a good week or two overlooking the opponent and kind of dismissing them and focusing more on yourself, when the fans get on you, that things can unravel pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you go to Birmingham, it's there's a lot of people there. I'm not going to say it's not, it's not 12,000 at those games, but one whole side of that stadium is empty during their games.
Mm-hmm.
The end zones are full, but that one whole side is empty. So it is definitely a different feel than Birmingham, no doubt. Let's talk about the TV ratings real quick. This wasn't the worst one of the week, 395,000. It's unfortunate because this was the best game to watch, in my opinion. How you feeling on your end about the ratings?
There was a lot going on Sunday night. You had Elite Eight games, very big Elite Eight games, and those were fantastic watching. DC is a really, really big basketball area. Got several schools that tend to make tournament runs or are factors in March Madness, and DC's a loyal fan area. Like, they stick to their guns for whoever they're a fan for, and that's why the Commanders still have so many fans. And honestly, that's why the Defenders have so many fans. But obviously, the UFL hasn't made it to the level of notoriety, we'll call it, or fame as college basketball or pro football in the area, and that's acceptable. But I think the numbers will come up after March Madness, right? For league wide, NHL playoffs are going to play a part in that. But a couple of, I can't remember if it was last year or back in the XFL, but there was an opening day that lined up with Daytona. It must have been 2022, I would imagine. But opening day lined up with Daytona and competed with Daytona in terms of ratings.
Yeah, I remember that.
So anybody that tells you that there's not fan interest or viewer interest in the UFL is off their rocker, really. It's there. There's just other stuff going on. It's hard to have a spring league.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to have a winter or a summer league. This league is going to be less than the top 5 sports in viewership, and it's always going to be like that. Just because of the culture that we've developed with the sports that we enjoy most here in America. So, people will say, "Oh, it's going to crash. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that." Well, that's entirely untrue. You're getting airtime on ESPN because the TV deals are with Disney. You're getting playtime on Fox because deals are with Fox. And more people are setting their eyes on it and seeing what's going on. And as soon as the things that they're into are over, I think you're going to see a little bit more drift in the UFL's direction.
I hope you're correct, my friend. But your points are all accurate. I want to add to it. I mean, just spring sports, vacation, spring break. I mean, there's so many factors going on in the springtime. People with families, say you have a couple boys or a couple girls, whatever, baseball, basketball, whatever, you're busy. So I just want to add that to that factor as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next week coming in, I know you've already hit it a little bit, but what's some keys to success for the DC Defenders to come through against the Showboats? I mean, probability wise, I'm calling a DC win, but what's some things they can do to make sure that they're going to lock that down?
Well, they got to set their linebackers free like they did this week. That defensive line really has to stand on business, right? They're not going to see another 8 sack performance, but they've got to put pressure on the quarterback. They can't overrun depth on the pass rush, and they've got to stand strong when it comes to the run game. Memphis didn't have much of a run game. I think they ran something like 25 or 26 times for 69 yards, 68, 69 yards. If they can get after the quarterback and keep that run game in check, the success is going to be easy for DC. Where the problem comes in is can Te'amu be more consistent? And we alluded to that earlier with the two offenses just being pretty much just bad. I think Royce in the comments was talking about Troy Williams and his running. And if he can get his running going, then the DC front seven is going to have to play a much different game. So if they can still rush the passer and keep him kind of in a pocket, then, maybe DC does see a couple of sacks this game. If they can't, lots of trouble for DC, because all of a sudden what looks like a good defensive line and good linebackers and an aggressive blitz game turns into looseness on the back end because they're having to cover forever. And then, oh, by the way, you have to worry about the guy running the ball.
Yeah.
So people underestimate constantly how much a dual threat quarterback puts pressure on a defense. So DC really has to establish that pass rush without getting too far upfield and leaving pockets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I believe if we see EJ Perry out there, we're going to see some finagling. He's definitely going to be running around scrambling. Troy Williams, he seems like he's a little more solid, but who knows?
Yeah, and the thing is we're still looking at week 2, right? Week 1, everybody had issues. Every single team had issues, even Arlington, although theirs were a little less obvious. But well, I'll take that back. Maybe the Battlehawks didn't have very many issues, but that might have been a product of the opposition.
They had a pass go freebie this week.
Right.
Collect 200 and move on.
Yep, they're showing up to the buffet and eating free on that one.
No doubt. Golden Corral, baby.
Yep. But yeah, everybody had issues. It's typical in football for there to be week 1 jitters and week 1 blowouts and miscommunications and all of that. So as these next 2 or 3 games unfold, you're really going to start to see some teams separate.
Yep.
It seems like there's a big separation right now, but I would anticipate that you're probably going to see a whole bunch more separation. The Battlehawks probably, they look for real, right? DC, there's some questions. Birmingham's still Birmingham. 1 loss doesn't change that. Like, they're going to have to go the whole season and really stick it up to change that. And then Michigan is an above average team. San Antonio, lots to fix. Houston, don't know if they can fix it, right? There's not a lot of room for error in a 10-game league, right? Or a 10-game season, rather. Just not a lot of room for error. So I think that we're going to see some severe separation this year versus other years that you can think of. And it honestly, I think, will be fun to watch. That creates prime matchups that you can stick in primetime slots and have something on the line. And it creates others where maybe you should get it together if you want to draw viewership, or maybe you should get it together. That puts pressure on the league to improve the product.
For sure. Yeah, people aren't going to watch a game that's just a total ass whooping. Unless you're just a real fan. And if you're a real fan of the team getting whooped, you're not probably going to watch it. You're going to eventually turn it off from the issues at hand. But
right.
Eric Stewart said Bryce Perkins might be the best QB in the league.
Fair assessment. Absolutely fair assessment. He knew when to run. He knew when to get rid of it or just take what he could get, both passing and running. And that comes from his previous NFL experience. Anytime you get a previous NFL quarterback who has actual starting experience coming into a league like this, or even when they go to the Arena League, like, you can see the effect that he had on that offense. It's going to continue. I don't think that that's going to change. When you have a guy that is a proven leader that played football for a Super Bowl champion organization under a Hall of Fame quarterback as a backup and ended up with starting time because the guy in front of him got hurt. That's experience. That is valuable professional experience for your organization, and immediately everybody is looking to him on the offensive side of the ball to get things in order, and it shows.
It's a professional. That's the difference they make. Like you just said, It's obvious and apparent, and it was last year with them as well. He was a huge part of their success. Well, how you feeling, man? You glad to be back? That's about wraps it up for the game preview. I appreciate you coming on, Drew. It's good to see you and talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime you want me, I'm here.
Sounds good, guys. Like I said, shout out to Drew, editor-in-chief for the writers of AFN. It's working out well. We've got some good stuff coming. Y'all check in with the website, social media. We're going to try to churn them out before game day This last week we were a little late on things, but we're still just getting the hang of it. So we should be good to go though this week.
Yep, that's right. Things are coming together. Check out the Shakedown. Those come out before every weekend, so prime yourself for your matchups. And I don't know, feel free to comment some of your takes underneath ours. Mine were completely off base for the most part last week, so I'm going to try to rectify that this week.
That's going to happen though. Just shooting darts, man.
Right.
all
Well,
you're
that's
doing.
any week one with the UFL. There's so
Exactly.
much change on rosters. It's hard to keep up with sometimes.
Yep. Agreed. But yeah, Drew, I appreciate you, man. Anything else you want to say before you roll out?
Other than thanks to all the writers and all the contributing staff, you guys are fantastic. We're proud to be working with you.
Same. I appreciate everybody and as well as you, Drew. Thank you. Till next time, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate Drew for coming on tonight. So next podcast, we'll definitely try to get some different folks on. I'm trying not to have the same people weekly, but if we do, I will. I will be out of town next week, so it's going to be a little different podcast-wise. We'll see what happens. I may have to do like a pre-recorded thing or something. I don't know, but be in touch. Regardless, appreciate everyone for coming on tonight. Great show, productive conversation. If you watched it live, thank you again. If you watched after the fact, also thank you. I really try to say everything in an audio sense because we do have some audio fans that listen just to the audio version. So I'm sorry if I neglected you guys some on this podcast. I'll definitely do a better job of reading all the headings as we go forward. But I mean, it's a product of what it is. We do the best we can and enjoy it. So thanks for listening. Seriously. Really, I had a couple more points I wanted to cover. Nothing major. I seen the article about the expansion talks. And you guys can check it out for yourself. I did send that link in the comments earlier, so check that out. I'll also put it in the show notes. But I mean, we got some good stuff from the league talking about what's going to be happening with the direction of the league. So they're talking about expansion in the next couple of years. We'll see what happens. 2026 is what they're saying for a 9th and 10th team for expansion. Personally, I don't know how to feel about this, but I think it's a good talking point to get people to buy in. So we'll see what happens. Check that article out yourself. I'll pull it up real quick, but I mean, the ads on this thing are crazy. You're just clicking out of them the whole time. It's a solid article and solid news source, but sometimes the only way these places make money is tons of ads. So checking out the article, I think expansion is always on the table, said Dykeman recently by phone. We are in great markets, and if we look at areas that we feel we can support a team and wants a team, it is something we will consider. We will be announcing later this year a 9th and 10th team for expansion in the 2026 season. Overall, we are in a great place, and I'm super confident that we will be able to continue to put a great product on the field. So, I mean, that's straight from the horse's mouth. We'll see what happens TV number-wise, rating-wise, attendance, ticket distribution-wise. But from that article, they're pretty gung-ho on what's happening. Check that out, guys. I'll put that in the show notes as well. We're not big on talking rumors here. I'm going to tell you, I hate it. And it's a talking point. You can gather a lot of views from the rumor mill. But that's not what we do at AFN. We're good for a discussion, but it has to be in a reasonable discord. We're not going to go crazy. This was legitimate, and everybody's reporting on it. It came as a surprise as the TV numbers were so low last week. So that's why I think a lot of people are surprised and wondering, like, okay, there's a little bit of disconnection, but I guess we'll see what happens with it. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys, I saw a picture of a billboard for Seattle Dragons on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. But it was an April Fool's joke. If you did see it, it wasn't real. And I saw people posting this thing. Like, all you had to do was go and see the website. Let me see if I can find it. Come on, baby. It was a billboard in Seattle, and I'm not sure if it was real or not, but somebody took the picture. Here it is. UFL Daily. It has to be them. It had to be UFL Daily. I'm going to share it with you guys. So this thing was making its rounds heavily. on Facebook specifically. It's a billboard, obviously fake. But what I want you guys at home to do is like check this out on your own. I'm going to drop the link for it. I want you to check out the site that's put on that billboard and then go from there. People are legit posting this like it's truth. But it's not fake news. All right, links posted, guys. I'll include this in the notes as well if you want to check it out. The billboard says something lurks, has a date 6/14/25, UFL logo. At the bottom it says SeattleSeaDragons.com. So check that website out. You'll see what I see. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. Like I said, as far as AFN, I'm going to keep pumping out stuff. We got a bunch of people involved. I even have people I answer to now. It's grew and expanded, and we're really just trying to put a foot somewhere and keep it there. We don't want to be anyone else, and we want to run our own lane, and that's kind of what we're doing. Super proud of everyone on board. Whether you're watching this show, posting stuff, or just supporting us, I mean, thank you. It's been a great, great honor and pleasure for everyone involved. Seriously. As far as the show next week, like I said, be on the lookout. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet. Should have something dropping, though, so don't be surprised. Thank you again for watching and listening. If you have not seen the Swivel at the bottom, check out Swivel. They're our partners. Going to be posting all the links that we do in the show into the Swivel platform. And then if you have Swivel, you can kind of see what I mean. It's a very easy place to find all this information without having to look. You can add your platform, your socials to the platform, and then on your Google page, everything will show up super simple. We don't get paid anything for that. It's kind of like a see what happens type deal. So if you guys want to sign up, there's a referral link at the bottom. Just type that in and it'll take you right to the page. It's not doing anything but giving you a interactive social media for whatever platform you're looking for, whether it's AFN or the many other things they have on there. So check it out. Special thanks to the UFL as always. Appreciate you letting me cover the league. It's always a good time. I know last time I got hopped on here, I was supposed to interview Ricky Person Jr. Did not work out. I had some stuff come up in my personal life, so you didn't see me there for a couple weeks. But we should be back on board now. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk with y'all. Thank you again for supporting me, supporting AFN, supporting any of these creators along the way, whether we're friends or not. Find someone that you like and follow them. I mean, they appreciate your support, I promise, and I do as well. Thank you guys again for watching. Always a pleasure. Until next time, I'm Matthew Tyler, and I'm out. Peace.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go hard, go home, touchdown like an enzyme.